Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time to Mental Health Moment with Dr. Hammond, welcome, welcome. We're here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in here. And for those of you who are watching the replay on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in to the replay. So as you all know, this is, and hi, thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. This is the last Tuesday of Mental Health Awareness Month. I cannot believe we're already at the end of May. It feels like this month definitely went by super fast, but nonetheless, if you didn't know, because the month's almost over, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And for those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's all about ways for you to become the best version of who you are so that you can show up for yourself and show up for those around you. Someone said Canada's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here today. I am in the Tampa Bay area of Florida today. Tampa Bay area of Florida today. So let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat today. And again, welcome, welcome so much. We're closing out, of course, this month here, mental health awareness. However, even when the month is over, we're still going to be doing mental health awareness, of course, and practical tips on Mental Health Moment every Tuesday. Alabama's here. Someone said Bermuda's in the house. West Palm Beach, Florida's here. Boston's here. Las Vegas, baby, as they said in the chat, is here. Toronto, Boca Raton, St. Louis. I was just there, I think last week, in St. Louis. Toronto, Virginia, South Carolina. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And thanks again so much for joining. So I wanted to share, I love sharing practical tips with you all, right? Because it's always about, yes, us learning things and being inspired and motivated. However, it's also about the practical steps, the practical things that we can do and start to implement in your life. So if you're one of those note takers, because I know some of you are, so this is definitely a note taking session just to jot down. It's a couple quick 3 tips that I want to give today to you all. And it actually comes from a new book that I'm reading, which I love. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, you may not know this, but I love self-help books. I've written a couple books, but my next book coming out here shortly, which I'll definitely give you all the information, is definitely going to be in the self-help space, because I personally also love self-help as a psychologist, as a person, as a mom, all the roles that we play, business owner, all the things, right? There's a lot that we're typically juggling. So I was reading this new self-help book, because I read a lot of self-help books, and I'm going to share the book with you all and then share a couple of tips from that book. And then I want to discuss that with you all because I just love it so much so far in reading it. But thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Virginia's in the house, South Carolina, another person from Vegas, Phoenix, Cali, Seattle. I have never heard that before. Someone said they're here from Nashville and they called it Nash Vegas, baby. I've never heard that, but it's all good. So welcome from Nash Vegas. I guess that's a different type of Vegas in Nashville. All good. Vero Beach, Florida. London is in the house. Savannah, Georgia. Farmington Hills, Michigan's in the house, and Sacramento. Thanks so much for joining you all. So the book that I want to share with you all, actually, you know what? Would be probably easier. Let me see if I can get the I'm going to pull it up on my Kindle here. I'm definitely an ebook reader because I'm usually on a plane somewhere and it's easier to read on a plane. So let me see if I can get the front of the book, if I can, for you all. Oh, it doesn't want to work for me. Okay, let me go to the front of the book. Anyhow, the book is called Think Like a Monk. It came out a couple of years ago. It has absolutely nothing to do. It doesn't matter your religion. It's not trying to convert you to be a monk or any of those types of things, but it's more about, and you may have heard about it before. I'm trying to get to the beginning of the book so I can show you the picture of it. I don't know why my Kindle, of course, wants to act up on live here. But it's by the author is Jay Shetty, Shetty. Yeah, I finally got to the front of it. So it looks like this. Hopefully, you guys can see it here. Um, it's called Think Like a Monk, and it's by Jay Shetty. And so I've started reading this book, absolutely fantastic, because again, it's not about converting, it's not about any of that type of thing. It doesn't matter whatever religion you may or may not subscribe to, but really it's about he is a former monk, and he talks about his experiences and how you don't have to necessarily, unless you really want to, go that path in life, but how to find your purpose, how to clear your mind, how to reset, retrain, right, your brain, to be a better version of who you are in life, right? So that's what the book is about. Actually, it's called Think Like a Monk, Train Your Mind for Peace and Purpose Every Day. And I love it so far. So one of the tips, or a couple of the tips that I wanted to share with you that was a part of the book that I highly recommend you implement in your life as well. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Nigeria's in the house. Yep, someone said he's good. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram, and this is the first book. He has a new book out, but this book was a couple of years ago that I started reading. And I absolutely love it, and love his teachings and what he stands for. But here's a couple of practical tips from the book. So I'm just going to give these three things. I don't want to spoil the book, obviously, and I encourage you to read it for yourself. But one of the things he suggests is on a daily basis to sit down and reflect how your day went and what emotions you're feeling. Right? Because how many of you, being honest with yourself, and this is not from a place of judgment on mental health moment, we do not judge here. We are all at different places and spaces in our wellness journey. So it's not from a place of judgment. But if you really think about it, how many of you take the time to sit down on a daily basis and to really reflect on your day and your emotions that you're feeling? Right? So, and it's okay. Yeah. Someone said, can I show the book again? Yes, I can. Let me go back. And that's okay wherever you're at with that process. But that was one of the tips, right? To really think about reflecting on your day on a daily basis, or really as often as you can, and what emotions are coming up for you. Because it's not going to be necessarily the same every day, right? You might have a great day. You might have the hardest day. You might be sad, you might be nervous, you might be angry, but when you really get to a space, if we're thinking about being better versions of who we are, right, and developing this self-awareness and understanding our emotions and understanding where that comes from, we have to take the time, right? We have to do the work, right, in our wellness journey. And so someone said, if I could show the book again, and I think I got brought it up again. So this, oops, I forgot the screens are opposite. So this is what it looks like. Obviously, I have the ebook, but of course, it's in paperback as well, depending on how you like to read books. But it's called Think Like a Monk. The whole title is Train Your Mind for Peace and Purpose Every Day. And the author is Jay Shetty. And also, if you're on any social media platform, he's also on many social media platforms. He's a major influencer in the field. And again, I just love his work. I've kind of seen some of his work over the last couple of years online on social media. So I decided to read his book, and just great book so far. And New Orleans is in the house. Birmingham, Alabama is in the house. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Iran's in the house. Welcome. So that's the first tip. Is the first tip is really to think about how can you really on a daily basis, or as often as possible, get into a space where you can reflect on your day. Because a lot of times while we're so busy, our lives are so hectic. We are inundated with information, whether it's on social media, whether it's through traditional media, whether your friends are calling you, your family's calling you, or something is happening in someone else's life or your own life, or COVID happened. Like, there's all these things that are constantly happening. And what happens is a lot of times we gloss over our own feelings and our own emotions. So when that happens, it can really, you can really start to bury your emotions, and it will come out in different ways. So for some of you, unfortunately, I don't wish this on any of you, but for some of you, when you bury your emotions so long, it comes out physically. So it could come out in all sorts of physical ailments, because your body is just is holding on to so many emotions and so much stress, right? Or for some of you, it's going to come out as anger. It's going to be lashing out towards someone else. If it's a coworker, if it's a boss, if it's a friend, if it's a family member, it will come out in some way. And maybe it's anger, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you hold it in too much and it turns into depression, right? Or it turns into anxiety, or it turns into some other issue mentally and emotionally that you're dealing with, right? So that is what tends to happen. I don't want to oversimplify this too much, but that is one of the things that tends to happen when we start to bury our emotions too much. You're absolutely welcome. And Charlotte, North Carolina is in the house. Welcome, welcome. So for those of you just joining, we're talking about well, one of my, it's not a new book, it's a couple years old, but a book that I'm currently reading called Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And I'm just sharing a couple of his tips that were in the book because I found it to be so awesome. So I want to share that with you all as we all continue this journey right into our wellness, being better versions of ourselves. So that was the first thing. So the first tip is on a daily basis to, or as often as possible, to think about sitting down, reflecting on your day, and also thinking about what emotions came up for you that day. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Which is something we talk about often on Mental Health Moment. Because again, a lot of us are checking in, which is good. We check in with other people, which is important. But we also have to check in with ourselves. We also have to check in with ourselves. We cannot forget that. So important. And hi, for those still joining from California, Staten Island, New York's in the house. Welcome, welcome. The second tip, so there's only 3 for today, that I took out the book so far, but the second tip is once a month to go someplace that you've never been before, right? And the reason why is just he suggests to explore yourself in a new environment. So it doesn't have to be this big, huge trip that you plan. It could literally be, I mean, it could be going for a walk, in a new place. It could be going to a new park. It could be going to a library. It could be going to anywhere that is new for you, right? Because what your brain does, first of all, your brain likes new things a lot of times, most times. Hopefully, it can lead to a calming experience, but you also get to see yourself in a new environment. You get to give yourself a brain break, if you will, when you're in new spaces sometimes, especially places that bring you joy, places that give you calmness. You all know, well, if you don't know, if you're just tuning in for the first time, you may not know, but a lot of times we talk a lot on Mental Health Moment about spending time in nature. I haven't seen that for years, you all, because it's so beneficial. And now, which is, I'm excited to see it. There's so many studies right now that are showing all of the mental health benefits of spending time in nature. So, so important. And again, in whatever way that you can, whether it's a park, whether it's a lake, whether it's a mountain, whether it's a beach, depending on what's around you, right? Good evening from San Francisco. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. For those of you just tuning in, we're talking about Jay Shetty's book, which is Think Like a Monk. And so we've gone through two quick tips here for tonight. The first one being think about on a daily basis, reflecting on your day, thinking about your emotions. How are you doing? Checking in with yourself. The second tip being once a month, try to go to a new place that you've never been before, right? And it could be a trip if you want to, make it a huge trip, but it doesn't even have to be. It could just be a new place that's, close by and in your surrounding area. It could be, it doesn't have to be something grand, right? It's shape however works for you. All right. Yep. Someone said, love going to the beach. Yes. If you have a beach around you, I'm really spoiled you all because I'm in Florida, right? So obviously I'm around beaches here, but you may not be close to a beach, which is okay, right? So maybe a pond, it may be, some type of lake or a mountain or river or whatever it is that's around you. Someone also said the beach. Someone said hiking. Someone said they're packing for a trip now. That's awesome. Greetings to you. Welcome, welcome. So again, yeah, and again, it could be a trip or not, or somewhere else outside of your typical routine. Giving yourself a brain break, giving yourself a moment to have joy in another space, seeing how you feel in this new environment, right? Because I don't know about you, but there are certain places that when you travel to, when you go wherever it is, it could be, again, like I said, a place in nature or wherever it is. Some of you said hiking and those types of things. Your energy is sometimes really different in certain spaces. Like you're like, man, this place feels good. It feels warm. It feels cozy. You are elevated somehow and you just feel good, right? Walking or hiking or, whatever you're doing in those new spaces. So it's kind of cool to explore. I love exploring too. So I love that tip that he gave because it just certain places just light you up and make you feel good, which is the point, right? To have more joy, to learn how you feel. And certain places are the opposite, right? You may go to certain places like, ugh, I don't want to come back here, right? Because it doesn't maybe connect with you on the energy level that you want it to, right? But you can explore that, and you can know, man, these types of places, like I know for myself personally. Well, I live in Florida, so we don't have any mountains here. But when I am traveling and I'm around mountains, like it just is so peaceful and it's so beautiful. And I find it very serene and very calming. And it just, like, my energy level is better and I feel good. Like those kind of space, I'm like, okay, cool. Like mountains are a thing, even though, like I said, I don't live around there, around mountains, obviously. But just knowing again what brings you joy, like some of you said, the beach, right? Or wherever it is for you that like brings you that joy, gives you positive energy. Someone said, I love the new local juice store. That's a great thing too. Ooh, man, that's a great thing too. There's so many good things. I'm gonna have to do another mental health moment about that. Actually, now that you brought up juice, because there's so many good quality influencers now that are online. I've been checking out a couple, just talking about the positivity of certain juices and foods and just foods that are very healthy for you and how that impacts your mental health. So we'll have to do a mental health moment on that. But that's a cool thing for sure. And his third and final tip, well, for this part of the book that I'm just bringing out for you all tonight, is to get involved in something that's meaningful to you. So he said either a hobby, a charity, a political cause, or whatever it is, because again, a lot of times, sometimes we get frustrated with so many things that are happening in our lives. And one of the ways to, it's not a cure, but to help your sense of just having meaning is to do the thing or things that are meaningful to you, right? So whatever it is, like you may have a cause that you're passionate about, whether it's the environment, whether it's helping people who are homeless, whether it's helping people who need food, whether, whatever it is. Usually I found a lot of people that I've spoken to over time as a psychologist really have some type of passion towards helping someone or something in the world, right? So connecting with those entities, connecting with those organizations, connecting with those people, like how can you help? How can you get involved? Is it a hobby that's very meaningful to you, or however it is for you that again brings you joy, that brings you more meaning to your life? Someone said, oh, someone said they like live music and jazz events. Beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. Music can be really, really therapeutic, you all. Let's not forget that. Very therapeutic. Someone said, oh, that's so cool. Someone said we went canoeing in the rainforest of Panama at Panama City and met the native tribe. It was so wonderful. That is so cool. That's a really cool experience. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. That's one of the reasons I love travel myself, just learning about different cultures and just different ways of life. It's really cool. So that's a cool experience. Someone said I love volunteering. Yes, and it's okay. By the way, you all, someone once asked me, because I do a lot of volunteering myself, and someone once asked me, is it okay if you feel good when you volunteer? Like, should it be completely selfless where you're just helping, 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 and you are not supposed to feel good about what you're doing? And I'm like, no, like you're allowed to feel good volunteering. You're allowed to feel good helping others. Of course, the goal is to help others, but the reality is, and all the studies show, that it's also good for your mental health. And we did a whole mental health moment segment about that. I think it was like about a month ago, about how giving back helps your mental health. But absolutely, if again, the biggest thing for you, which is why it's important, going back to tip number one, to sit with yourself and reflect. You are not the same person you were, more than likely, 5, 10, 15 years ago. You're not going to be the same person in the next 5 years. So, which is why it's so important to sit and reflect for yourself. What is it that's meaningful to you? What is it that brings you joy? What is it that makes you happy? And not be worried about what the next person's doing. Because trust me, I just had a conversation with someone recently, um, who who said it was difficult for her going online because of how she was comparing herself to other people and what they were doing and what all the things like their success and all those types of things, which a lot of us fall into sometimes, right? That comparison syndrome, if you will. So making sure to remember not to do that, but instead, again, making sure for you, you know what you're passionate about, what brings you joy, and what's meaningful for you. Someone's someone said, sitting outside having tacos by myself at the park in the perfect shade, half sun, half shade, just the right breeze. I love that. That is so quite wonderful. And again, so I love when you all share in the chat what you all are doing because again, you just don't know sometimes like what you're sharing could be completely inspiring someone else and giving people positive ideas. Sometimes we're stuck and we're like, oh, man, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to help my mental health. I'm, confused or I don't have clarity or I'm going through a lot or I'm overwhelmed. And you see again, like just these examples of what you're sharing and someone else will see it and be like, oh, you know what? Let me try that. Right. So that's so cool. So thanks for sharing that. Nothing wrong with some tacos, sitting outside, taking in the breeze, the sun, all the good things, beautiful, the vitamin D therapy, all the great things. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Someone says, I'm collecting toothbrushes for an orphanage. Thank you so much for doing that. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And it's just a simple thing sometimes, you all. Like there's so much that we take for granted. Sometimes it's just the simplest things. I can go on. That's a whole nother another mental health moment. But it really is the simple things that we do sometimes that are so big, huge, meaningful for others, and we are helping and finding meaning for ourselves. Someone said, yes, I agree. Volunteering in live music. Absolutely. Someone said, helping people 2 times a week. Look at you. That's amazing. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Thank you for doing that. I love to hear that. And anything about helping people makes me happy. Well, and that's what makes me happy. That's what brings me joy. Is volunteering also and helping others. So I love to hear that you all are doing that as well. And okay, yeah. Someone said I think you're saying I have really good self-care and self-love. Beautiful. Someone said I had to take a break from social media, stop comparing self to others. You know what? You are absolutely positively not alone. Like countless people, myself included, guilty sometimes, right? Like there's so much that we see on social media and it's really easy to be like, man, I wish I was doing this, or I wish I was doing that, or I wish I had this, or I wish I had that. Like it's so normal. So again, good for you. If you know sometimes that you have to take a step back, take a break from social media, there's nothing wrong with that. Take as long as a break as you need. You might need a day, you might need a week, you might need a month, you might need a year. I don't know how long you need. But reflect again for yourself. What do you need? And do what works for you. Do what's best for you. Someone said they use affirmations. Beautiful, very, very powerful thing. We talked, I think we had a whole another mental health moment about that as well. Words are extremely powerful, you all. So thank you for bringing that up. Words are extremely powerful. So be aware of what you're telling yourself. Actually, we did a whole month on the beginning of this year, and you can always watch all the replays on YouTube. But we did a whole month actually on self-talk, the positive self-talk and the self-love and all those sorts of things, because it's very powerful, very important. Yeah, someone said it's not easy. Agree. So I always say, you all, I wish I had a magic wand. I do not have one. But I wish I did sometimes, just to magically make mental health issues go away, make hurt and suffering and pain magically go away. I wish I did have that. I do not have that ability. I do not have any magic wands. So I do understand, though, it's not always easy. Like someone said, some of the advice or suggestions, I should say, on mental health moments sometimes are not always easy. They're not overnight fixes. They're not cures, any of these things, but there are a couple of tools for you all to think about using in your life and implementing, again, to work on being better than yesterday. Sometimes, as that book I mentioned earlier this year, Atomic Habits, also teaches us, sometimes we're just working out 1% better a day, right? It's not necessarily a leap. It's not being 100, twice as good or 10 times as good. Like sometimes it's just 1%, but it adds up and it counts. The baby steps count. Someone said, I volunteer with my local kids adventure club. Good for you. I love it. Beautiful. Someone said they're learning self-care and self-love. Fantastic. The joy that I get from seeing them grow and learn lights me up. So beautiful. I agree. Seeing kids grow up is like the coolest thing ever. Um, and and I completely agree with you. So thank you all so much. Thank you all again for sharing. Thank you all for sharing some of your tips, some of the things that you all do for, again, Mental Health Awareness Month that is rapidly closing to an end here. But of course, we're still going to talk about all things mental health and wellness on Mental Health Moment with Dr. Hammond. So I'll be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and and LinkedIn Live. If you need me at any time, you can always reach out, drnikishahammond.com, or you can connect on practically any social media platform. Just look for Dr. Nikisha Hammond. I'm happy to connect with you. Have an amazing week, you all. Be blessed. Take care of yourselves. Be sure to implement those 3 tips from that awesome book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, and have an amazing week and take care of yourselves. Bye, you all.